Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of trends that have happened in the workplace that I was reading about that employers really hate. We're going to talk about this and also talk about how to get off the corporate plantation. You shouldn't be working for anybody anyway. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day under one condition. The condition is that we are Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means we educate our kids. Black first means that we teach our families wealth to prepare for the future. If you are in that category, if you believe that Black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black-owned businesses, put a B1 in the chat. Everybody put a B1 in the chat. Let me know what city you're from. Hey, what's going on, Just Blaze? I see you out of New Orleans, and I see you in there, Yoshika. I always see you in there, sister. God bless you. Thank you so much for always joining us. I appreciate you very much. Kevin Liverman, Renee Mitchell, B1 Living. That's right, Black first. That's what we do. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you ain't got to hate white people to be Black first. So just ain't no hate up in here, just a whole lot of love. Give me a yes in the chat if you get what I'm saying. All right, so let me ask you all this. Have you all heard of a term? There are a couple of terms. How many of you have heard of quiet quitting? Give me a yes in the chat if you heard about quiet quitting and that phenomenon that kind of happened after the pandemic, where people were basically quietly quitting their jobs. They were basically doing the bare minimum in order to keep the job. And a lot of employers were really mad about that. They were kind of, a lot of rich people, running businesses and whatnot were saying, this is anti-American. This is bad. You're lazy. Well, obviously, if someone wants you to do more work, they should pay you more. And so if you're doing the bare minimum, then that's pretty much what you were supposed to do all the time. However, we kind of got in the habit of being trained by corporations to spend our whole lives at these offices and in these factories. And believe me, this was not a coincidence. This didn't just happen out of the blue. The whole society's trained and designed to prepare you to serve a corporation. They have pretty much orchestrated your thinking from the time you're a baby to serve the corporation, whether you serve the corporation as an employee or as a consumer, one of the two, and then also as a renter. Because as you guys know, some of you may know this, but a lot of these major banks are starting to buy houses, thousands of houses in major cities like Atlanta. Now they're going to become your landlord. Give me a yes if you've seen this. A lot of major banks, the Goldman Sachs's and the Chase banks, are buying houses. They're going to eventually be they're going to be the place you buy your consumer goods from. They're going to be the place you work for, and they'll also be the place that you rent your housing from, which is kind of a scary world that we're kind of going into. And so the corporate plantation is something that didn't happen by accident. There was a time where people did highly irrational, incredibly abnormal things like, spend time with their children. And that was old fashioned, right? So they said, hey, if you want to be a real woman, don't spend time with your damn kids. What's wrong? You're a loser if you want to spend time with your kids and actually be a good parent. No, you got to come to the factory with us and get greasy and oily and dirty. That's how you prove you're equal to men, right? And that's kind of silly to me. I think that's nonsense. I think you should do whatever the hell you want to do, and I think you should be happy in the process. Now, so the corporate plantation is a place that's interesting. It's very sinister. The Industrial Revolution was the period in which they needed more workers, so they went out of their way to do public campaigns to convince people to spend more time at work. This happened around the turn of the century. Now, what happened during the pandemic is that people had kind of an awakening. This was something I remember I used to tell my wife. My wife is more of a 9-to-5 person. Me, I'd never wanted to go work for anybody. If I had a job right now, I'd get fired in my first week. I'm not good at serving other people. Servitude does not work well for me. I'm not fit for any kind of slavery. So for many years, I worked, on my own. When I was a professor at Syracuse, I worked for Syracuse, but I only went to the office twice a week. So I've been kind of spoiled that way. Now, I remember before the pandemic, trying to tell my wife, I said, what, babe, you should probably try to find a way to work from home because I think you're going to like it. But the problem is she was so programmed into going to work every day, getting up and going to that job. And it was hard to convince her that this was actually a better life, that being home all day was actually pretty cool. Well, the pandemic happened. And then suddenly the whole world got a view of my world. The whole world got a view of what a few of us have been experiencing for many years. The whole world got to see how much of your life that you are missing and you are not getting a chance to enjoy because you're spending all your time at your damn job. Now, again, I'm not saying jobs are not important. I'm not making fun of you if you have a job. I'm not job shaming. We don't do that on this platform. But what I am trying to do is I'm trying to help you understand that no, there's nobody who wrote a book on how you're supposed to live your life. And if it don't feel right to you, then there's a good chance it ain't right. It has to gel with your spirit. So, with that being said, the pandemic opened up a lot of people's eyes. The pandemic was a consciousness, sort of spiritual, sort of awakening. And I'm not talking about jabs or non-jabs. You can do whatever you want with the jabs, but really, what was also happening was that there was a big jab of consciousness that took place during the pandemic, where people were saying, "Holy crap! I don't actually have to do this anymore. This is pretty cool. Spending time with my kids. I kind of like this. I got to know my spouse much better than we would have otherwise. I get to stay home and actually work out and play video games and sleep in and go see my mama. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Give me a yes in the chat if that's what happened to you during the pandemic. Give me a yes if the pandemic caused you to reflect on your life in a way that you hadn't reflected before. Well, so a lot of you went through this. A lot of you, saw a different reality. That's what led to the quiet quitting phenomenon, right? That became really a Marxist sort of dream. Like some people with conspiracy theories think the Marxists kind of set that up to kind of get people to question capitalism. And I don't think it's a bad thing. There are some good ideas in Marxism. I'm not a Marxist. I'm not a capitalist. I don't believe in those labels. I'm just a black man who tries to have common sense. And that's the only label I'll accept is that of a black man. And that's the one that I accept. The rest of the labels, you can shove them up, but I ain't letting nobody label me. But during the pandemic, after it was over, that's when quiet quitting kind of took off as a phenomenon. That's when people started going to work, but not really going to work, or working but not going overboard anymore because they really have found other things that they really wanted to do. Well, there are other phenomena that have come along since quiet quitting. There's another one called presenteeism. They like to give names to stuff now. They like to give it an ism. So the new ism that I just saw is something called presenteeism. Presenteeism is from what I read in Forbes, it is when you pretend like you're present, but you're really not. Like you're really sitting there in the Zoom meeting like this, and you're listening, but really you're not listening. You're watching something else on your screen. You're thinking about what you're going to do after the meeting's over. You got your camera off so you can go and talk to your kids or talk to your boyfriend or your girlfriend. But so you pretend to be present, but you're really not present. Now I understand it. I don't blame people for doing that. I kind of get it. At the same time, I'm also an employer, so there are times where I can spot the game from a mile away, and I'll say, "Hey, can you turn your camera on?" Or I'll ask somebody a question. "Hey, so what do you think about what so and so just said?" And then they're like, but I did better. Yeah, I saw you over there doing that. That's all good. That's cool. But the thing is, you got to be cautious about stuff like that because that will cause you problems. And so while we might very directly say that it makes no sense to kind of go above and beyond for the corporation, the reality is that some of that has been made available because you have what is referred to as a tight labor market. The tight labor market means that there are a whole lot of jobs available for everybody, that the unemployment rate is one of the lowest that it's been in decades, that there are plenty of jobs available for everybody everywhere. So if you are a job seeker, if you don't like the job you have, you can go get another job and probably make more money. In fact, switching jobs, if you ever want to get a raise, switch jobs, or at least threaten to switch jobs. Go put out applications, get another offer. That's the best way to get a raise. That's what we used to do in academia. If you wanted a university you worked at to give you more money, go get an offer from another university, and then they have to match it. Just like if you want your boyfriend to treat you better, go get an offer from a better dude, and then watch how his attitude changes. But if you just yapping, he ain't gonna listen. He's not gonna pay attention. He's gonna say, yeah, there she goes. See, if I don't want you, nobody will. But when somebody really wants you, then watch how his behavior changes. So ultimately, presenteeism and quiet quitting, I think, were allowed to happen a little bit more because you're in a tight labor market. Now, here's the issue that you have. Actually, before I move to the issue that you have, do me a favor. Could you please hit the thumbs up button? Everybody, please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Also, I want to remind you guys, my new book is out. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. And also, I have a journal. There's a 30 Days to Wealth and Power journal, where over 30 days, it's in kind of it's an more open book, but it's a journal designed to put you on your wealth building journey. So I literally over 30 days ask you to answer 30 questions that will help you understand your economic consciousness. So both of these books are available on Amazon. If you go to Amazon and just look up my name, you can find it there. Or if you go to my website, boycewatkins.com, you can either find the books, or you can also there's a lecture I did that's totally free called How to Make Money Without Working. One of the things a lot of people don't know about wealth is that you're not really supposed to have to actually work to make money. You just were trained that way. Again, the corporate plantation trains you from birth. That's why they send you to school, to teach you how to sit down and be quiet so that you can have just enough skill to go work for a corporation to pay off all the student loan debt that they put you under while you're in college. So ultimately, if you want to be economically free, there has to be a different pathway for you. It can't be the standard pathway. Okay, so feel free to go to my website. You can take a look at some of the free resources there. All right, the other thing, so here's the thing that's working against you, though. I talked earlier about how presenteeism and quiet quitting are kind of easier to do now that the labor market is what is called tight. But here's what's going on. The Federal Reserve, every single quarter, is increasing the federal funds rate. You may have seen this. If you've been on this platform, you've heard me talk about this. This has been what's been crushing your stocks. Now, this period's about to come to an end. So if you are interested in stock market investing, you don't want to miss out. There's going to be a lot of money. Most likely, there's going to be a ton of money being made in 2023 in the stock market. The stock market took a beating. You want to buy things while they're cheap. You don't want to wait till they get more expensive. We'll talk about that later. But the Federal Reserve is trying to get the unemployment rate higher. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to actually create less jobs in the economy. They're trying to make the labor market a little bit, they're trying to shake it up a little bit. So they're trying to get that unemployment rate up from, 3 or 4%, whatever it is, to 7%, right? They're trying to actually make it tougher for you to find jobs. So ultimately, a lot of this quiet quitting and the presenteeism is probably going to go away because it won't be so easy to replace the current job you have with a better one. You see in the tech industry where they're laying off tens of thousands, probably over 100,000 people got laid off in the tech industry. So that's one place where it's already happened, but I think it's going to happen in other places. So you got to be careful. The last little ism that I saw, they're always inventing these words, is what they call resenteeism. Resenteeism. I know Resenteeism. Everything's an ism. So resenteeism is where you just hate your damn employer, you hate your job, you resent everything. So what you do is you just sabotage your role at the company. You call in sick. You just mess things up. You don't do things the way you're supposed to do it. In fact, actually, let me see here. I think I put some stuff in the description about resenteeism. I thought it was kind of funny. Again, they always got these freaking words and making up these isms. Let me see what resenteeism. I actually found a definition of resenteeism in actually an academic. Hold on, give me a second here. Let me mute myself. Be quiet, boy. You talk too much. All right. So resenteeism is, I have it here. Hit the thumbs up button while I look this up. Resenteeism is the practice of employees returning to work after a period of absence, such as a sick leave, maternity leave, or vacation, and not performing to their full potential due to lingering negative feelings about the workplace. This can have a significant impact on the workplace as it can lead to lower morale, reduced productivity, and high staff turnover. Research studies have found that resenteeism can lead to decreased job performance, increased absenteeism, and reduced job satisfaction. For example, a study published in the International Journal of Business and Social Sciences found that resenteeism was associated with a decrease in job performance, increased absenteeism, and reduced job satisfaction. Additionally, a study published in the Journal of Business and Psychology found that resenteeism was associated with an increased risk of burnout and decreased organizational commitment. So in other words, it says you hate that damn job. You just hate it. You just don't want to be there. I've been guilty of resenteeism. How many of you, give me a yes in the chat if you've ever had a job and you've been like, man, I wish I could take this job and shove it way up your butt and then stab you afterward. I literally want to beat up my boss and then cuss him out on the way out the door and just leave and be gone forever. I don't know if anybody's ever felt that way, but it's, if you feel that way, just know that's a common ailment. That probably actually means that you're probably sane. If you feel that way, that means you're a normal person. If you don't feel that way, if you've never felt that way, you might want to get checked by a doctor. Maybe you need an extra jab or something because something's wrong with you if you've never felt some sort of resentment toward your job at some point, because it kind of sucks to be black. I think that when you're black and you're in the workplace, you're surrounded by people who don't like you. You're sort of in this culture that you don't necessarily fit into. You're seeing all these microaggressions. You see the racism. You see the white lady down the hall who has the GED, who got the promotion faster than you did. You find out Susie Q's making more money than you. You get fired on your day off. I mean, the relationship between black people in the workplace is not a healthy one. So I'd say resenteeism is probably about I'd say about 85% of the black community is infected with resenteeism on some level because the corporate plantation sucks. It really sucks. It's not just you. That's the way the world is, you know? And so ultimately, resenteeism, I understand it and I get it. And I would encourage you to really think about yourself and think about your kids. I think that we have to shift the culture. We can't have a job seeking culture if jobs treat us so bad. Why would you look for love in all the wrong places? You know, why would you look to places and people that don't like you to give you what you need or to validate you? Why would I seek out the thing that gives me the most pain? Right? We're job seekers, but we hate our jobs. So why are you seeking something that you hate? Why are you seeking something that makes you sick? Why are you seeking something that puts you through that level of emotional turmoil to the point where you need therapy, maybe you need medication, you're dying early. A lot of black people studies show that black men in particular, and black women too, die younger because of the stress on the job, right? So resenteeism, presenteeism, quiet quitting, that affects all workers, but I think it's a double dose for black people. So these are things that are kind of going on in the world that you want to kind of be aware of and think about. And I encourage you to vaccinate your kids against it, right? What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is, prepare them for the future. Teach them how to start their business. Every black child in America should know how to start a business by the age of 12. Also, every black child in America should have parents that are buying shares of stock for him when he's a little baby. If you bought an iPhone, I think Earn Your Leisure mentioned this. And I really like the fact that they mentioned this. They said if you bought an iPhone in the year 2001, you would have got an iPhone. But if you had invested that same $400 it cost to buy an iPhone, and it wasn't an iPhone, it was an iPod, and you bought Apple stock, you'd have over $200,000, right? So the question is, do you want to buy your kids iPhones? Or do you want to buy them investments? I say you can actually do both, but you definitely don't want to leave the investing off the table because the investments is what insulates them and keeps them from having to go to work. Okay. So this is one of the reasons I'm a big advocate for investing. If you're not sure how to do this, I have a free ebook called the $5 a day investing plan that I put together for your kids. It's totally free. You can go to boycewatkins.com and take a look. There's also that presentation, how to make money without working. If you understand wealth, you don't have to work to actually earn wealth. You just got to build a capital base and then you manage your capital. That's what they talk about when they talk about your money working for you. You're not supposed to work until you die. Working is for young people trying to build something when nobody left them anything. So your kids should not be in a position where nobody left them anything. And also they shouldn't be working until they're dead. That's only something that we're trained to do. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do that. Neither are my kids. And I don't want your kids to do it either. Give me a yes in the chat right now if you can make a commitment to me that your kids are not going to have to work until they die. Give me a yes in the chat if you can commit to me right now that your kids are going to have a leg up. Give me a yes in the chat right now if you can commit to me that you're going to do something a little bit different from what your parents did for you or what you've seen other people in your family do. I think that's really important for us to verbally and consciously sort of acknowledge that and to be very intentional about creating the reality that we want to see. Ain't nothing about being black that means you're supposed to be helpless. Ain't nothing about being black that means you're supposed to be helpless. Ain't nothing about being black that means you're supposed to be helpless. Helplessness and blackness are not connected at all. You've just been taught this false association through this white supremacist system that you live in. It's time to bump out of the matrix. The corporate plantation is a matrix. Get away from it. If you love your job, then I'm happy for you. If you hate your job, there is another way. Find the other way by any means necessary. That is how you find your peace. That's how you find your happiness. And I ain't even talking about the money. All right, guys. So that's it. That's my thought for today. I hope you guys will also, if you check on Spotify and Apple, you can find my podcast there as well. Just look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. I'm usually on there every single day, so feel free to check it out. Also, if you'd like to check out some of our financial flashcards for kids or any of the other things we have going on in the Black Business School, just go to boycewatkins.com. That lecture up there on how to make money without working, that's up there. It's totally free. It's right there at boycewatkins.com. So God bless you guys. Have a good day. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. I'll see you soon. Take care now. Peace.